Thank you. I thank you all for coming. Mr. Ambassador, Rabbi Schneier, Rav Charlap, the Dean Emeritus of our Yeshiva, and Father Desbois. How to honor the mood, but also move our evening forward. I feel I'm the great-grandson of Avram and Rachel Levine, who were killed by the Nazis. We know not where, and we don't know if they've been buried. Thank you. Thank you. I also want to thank the ambassador for deeding over the new annex of the Yeshiva University Museum. I hope you enjoy it. I also want you to know that Father Desbois' first encounter with me was not one of saving lives. He almost cost me my life because I had been president of Yeshiva for about 3 weeks, and Father Desbois brought a delegation of the Holy See, 12 cardinals, to Yeshiva University, and many of my students and my rabbis were not 1,000% aware that they were coming, and people had all kinds of doubts about what kind of new president the first non-rabbi of Yeshiva University was. And I remember standing on the 5th floor of First Hall waiting for the delegation of cardinals who arrived in their regal regalia, and there were about 40 students preparing to go to class. Now, I'm sure you didn't intend this, sir, but the students are there, the new president's there, the elevator opens, and 12 princes of the church walk into the main classroom building of Yeshiva University, and I turned to my students and I looked at them and I said, I told you we were going to expand the faculty. Since then, through the work of Father Desbois and of Rabbi Charlap, we've had several such encounters for the benefit of the world. And we continue in private conversation as appropriate to make sure not that the Holocaust doesn't happen again, but that the world goes on and people of goodwill are talking to each other and determining the future. Elie Wiesel once said, because I remember, I despair. Because I remember, I have the duty to reject despair. I'm the president of Yeshiva University. I don't want to talk to you about despair. We cannot build hope on despair. Father Desbois knows that. He knows that through his goodwill and his actions. He does that through his hard work, through his tireless efforts, through his remembrance, and at the same time, through building bridges, through ongoing conversation, through ongoing education about the future. Just this week, he delivered the Rogoff Memorial Lecture to several hundred of my students who were as moved by his presentation and as provoked by it as we have been. The students of Yeshiva University know that they must remember. However, they know that the act of remembrance must not be to stimulate despair. While they're saddened by the tragedy of their people's past, they know that the real lesson must be to provoke hope. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here tonight as we join with the French community in support and appreciation of the work of Father Desbois. We're deeply touched and that there are those people who are humans of conscience who want to make sure that justice is done by both preserving through his work our history and our memory. For those of you unfamiliar with my university, let me just share our mission. We believe in ennobling and enabling our students. We believe in education in the highest form, teaching our students to be fully engaged in the world, to work to make things better, and to do it through the prism of our texts, our traditions, our laws, and our values. We believe that the Jewish story profoundly influences civilization. At Albert Einstein College of Medicine, we create compassionate physicians and scientists who determined that the science machine that was used for such destruction a generation ago is used to cure and to heal and to advance, not just for the Jewish people, but for all of humankind. We believe that the Jewish story profoundly influences civilization. We reject the notion of just being victims, of civilization founded upon ideas and ideals, values and mutual respect, a civilization that we can all share, and a civilization that views itself as having an obligation to join with other people of goodwill to advance humanity. In the increasingly coarse world that unfortunately we find ourselves in right now, we experience the ongoing erosion of what had been timeless values, and we find that faith communities of all flavors of goodwill must be drawn closer together because of that which we share. We also find that the nation of France has been of wonderful and ongoing influence to Yeshiva University. I don't know, Mr. Ambassador, if you know, but we have 29 French students studying on our undergraduate campuses. So much so that I've had to learn how to sing Sur le pont d'Avignon. We have a Summer in Paris program. We're under the leadership of a wonderful faculty member. Our students spend 3 weeks of French language classes in New York, followed by a 2-week trip to Paris, where language learning continues both inside and outside the classroom. This past month, we hosted the Tournai Film Festival, which was made possible with the support of the cultural services of the French Embassy and the French Ministry of Culture. We are delighted and proud of building partnerships, of building bridges, that even as we remember, we build tomorrow. We build tomorrow. The work that you do, Father Desbois, is so important not only for its intrinsic value, which gives honor and respect to those whose lives are so brutally and callously cut short, but it's important for our sacred bond. It's important to teach the values that our children must learn about life, not death. It's important for the future of our relationship. This is an evening, ladies and gentlemen, for us to remember the future. In Father Desbois' words, humanity begins by burying our dead, but it only begins by burying our dead. What we know is that humanity must be built on lessons learned, on values lived, and on dreams provoked. What happens when our society is challenged, is values challenged? When in God we trust is on the dollar bill, what happens when we have no trust in that dollar bill? There are no certainties anymore, apparently, and the events of the past few months have proven that. Perhaps God's name is not on the dollar bill to back the dollar. Maybe God's name is on the dollar bill for us to remember that the dollar is not ours. Maybe the point of in God we trust is it means it even transcends the dollar. In a time of great uncertainty, ladies and gentlemen, I can articulate and you share that there are some certainties. Good is better than evil. Truth is better than lies. Caring is better than callous. Values are better than empty. Father Desbois represents this. The world needs heroes, ladies and gentlemen. We all do. I run a university. I am in the business of looking for heroes. We need heroes. We've met a hero. He doesn't want to be a lonely hero. This university doesn't want to be a lonely hero. We need heroics. That's what our civilization demands. And we will get back on track because we must and because it's the mandate of a loving God. Father Desbois represents, through his passionate work for justice and his quest for purposeful conciliation, he represents the future, both in his work that he's described tonight and in his work with the Holy See. He reminds us of everlasting realities and certainties that we must never doubt. So I have to end, since this is an evening of the Jewish people, the Catholic people, and the country of France, I have to tell you a story about a Cherokee brave. A Cherokee is an American Indian, Father. There's a Cherokee grandfather that was having a conversation with his grandson. And he turned to his grandson, this little brave, and he said, "My son, I want you to know that in our tradition, in the Cherokee tradition, we believe that there are 2 wolves inside every person, and that those wolves are engaged in a fight. There is a good wolf and there is a bad wolf inside each one of us. The bad wolf is hatred and envy and anger and violence and lies and deception. The good wolf is caring and conscious and goodness and love and sensitivity. And these 2 wolves are at war within each person." And the grandchild looks at his Cherokee grandfather and says, "But grandfather, which one wins?" And the grandfather says, "The one that you feed." Thank you very much.